In this video, we'll discuss the important environmental factors that the students of real estate should keep in mind for their exams. Understanding the environmental issues affecting properties is essential. Let's begin with lead-based paint. When a real estate agent puts a house on the market that was built prior to 1978, a lead-based paint disclosure form needs to be signed by the homeowner, acknowledging whether or not they are aware of lead in their home. It's important to be aware of the presence of lead-based paint, especially in properties constructed before 1978, when it was commonly used. This type of paint can pose health risks if not dealt with correctly. Fortunately, lead-based paint can be safely removed through professional remediation processes, ensuring a safer environment for occupants. Lead paint removal involves a series of careful steps to ensure safety. First, an assessment identifies areas with lead-based paint. Then the workspace is prepared, often with plastic sheeting and ventilation systems to contain dust. Various methods like scraping or sanding are used for paint removal with HEPA vacuums to capture dust. Cleanup involves wet methods to prevent airborne particles, and all waste is disposed of according to regulations. Finally, post-removal verification ensures safety standards are met. Professional remediation companies are often employed for their expertise in this process. It's worthy of noting for the real estate exam, lead has been utilized in plumbing for many years. Despite early concerns about the taste and safety of lead-infused water, its continued use persisted through the 19th and early 20th centuries, owing its durability and ease of installation. In the United States, the decline of lead plumbing began in the 1920s with the adoption of alternative materials like copper and galvanized steel. However, the persistence of lead-containing materials in older buildings and homes poses ongoing risks of lead contamination in drinking water. Despite regulatory efforts, such as the Safe Drinking Water Act of 1974, addressing lead contamination remains a significant concern, particularly in outdated infrastructure. Next up, radon. So radon is this radioactive gas that comes from rocks, especially if they have uranium or thorium in them. It's pretty sneaky because it can slip into your house through cracks in the foundation, floors, or walls. If you live in an area with lots of rock, you need to keep an eye out for radon, but don't worry, there are ways to deal with it. First off, how do you know if radon is hanging out in your home? Well, you can't see it or smell it, which makes it tricky. But there are detectors you can get that'll sniff it out for you. These detectors are like radon detectives. They'll tell you if there's too much radon in your house. Now, what do you do if you find out you've got radon? Well, don't panic. You can seal up those cracks in the floors and walls to keep radon from sneaking in. Another option is to install something called a radon mitigation system. This system sucks the radon gas out from under your house and blows it outside so it doesn't build up indoors. Next up, asbestos. Let's talk about asbestos. Asbestos is a mineral that was used in buildings for a long time because it's strong and fire resistant. It's kind of like tiny fibers that can't be seen with the naked eye. Sometimes you might find it in older homes, in things like insulation, ceiling tiles, or pipe covering. But here's the thing, asbestos can be really bad for your health if you breathe it in. So how do you know if there's asbestos in your home? Well, you can't really tell just by looking at it. If your house was built before the 1980s, there's a chance it might have asbestos in it. If you're not sure, it's best to get a professional to check it out. If they find asbestos, don't worry. It can be removed safely. Specialists can carefully get rid of it without releasing those harmful fibers into the air. It's important to handle asbestos removal with caution because breathing in those fibers can cause serious health problems like lung cancer or mesothelioma. A quick side note, what now takes the place of asbestos? Fiberglass. Fiberglass, the safe alternative to asbestos. Up next, termites. Termites in New York State. These little critters might be tiny, but they can cause big problems, especially for houses made of wood. Termites love to munch on wood and they can chomp away at your home structure, causing serious damage. So, how do you know if you've got termites? Well, one sign is seeing tiny holes or tunnels in your wood furniture or walls. Sometimes you might even hear them munching away if you listen closely. If you suspect termites, it's best to call in the experts to check it out. And here's something important. If you're buying or selling a house in New York State, there's usually a rule that says you have to get a termite inspection before the sale goes through. Who pays for it? Well, typically the seller covers the cost of the inspection, but it can vary depending on the terms of the sale. Either way, it's an important step to make sure there are no hidden termite surprises lurking in the walls. Okay, the next up, mold. Let's chat about why real estate agents need to be on the lookout for mold. Mold can be a sneaky problem in homes, and it's important for agents to spot it and let potential buyers know. Mold comes in different colors like black, green, or pink, and it can look fuzzy or slimy. Sometimes you might even notice a musty smell in a house, which could be a sign of mold hiding somewhere. Now, why is this so crucial? Well, mold can cause health issues like allergies or breathing problems, and nobody wants to move into a house that might make them sick. Now, if mold is spotted, what can be done about it? Well, if it's just a small patch, it can often be cleaned up with soap and water. But if the mold is more widespread or hidden in hard to reach places, like behind walls or under carpets, it's best to call in professionals. These experts have the right tools and knowledge to safely remove mold and prevent it from coming back. So, by pointing out mold and helping buyers understand how to deal with it, real estate agents play a crucial role in ensuring that homes are safe and healthy for their new owners. The next up, chlorofluorocarbons, CFCs, are synthetic compounds once widely used in products like refrigerants and aerosol propellants. However, their release into the atmosphere has led to the depletion of the Earth's ozone layer. When CFCs reach the stratosphere, they break down under UV radiation, releasing chlorine, triggering ozone molecule breakdown, thinning the ozone layer. The depletion has serious health and environmental impacts. More UV radiation reaches the Earth's surface, increasing risks of skin cancer, cataracts, and other adverse health effects. To tackle this, governments regulate CFCs under acts like the Clean Air Act in the United States, which, by the way, pops up all the time on the state exam. The next up, polychlorinated biphenyls, or PCBs, are man-made chemicals once used in electrical equipment like transformers and capacitors due to their insulation properties. Despite being banned in the late 1970s, PCBs persist in old equipment and buildings. When these materials deteriorate, PCBs can leak into the environment, posing health risks such as cancer and immune system problems. Proper handling and disposal of PCB-containing equipment are crucial to prevent further harm to human health and the environment. The next up, underground storage tanks. Underground storage tanks are regulated, especially when they're big, like 1,100 gallons or more. These tanks are used to store things like gasoline, diesel, or other chemicals. Now, the reason they're regulated is because if they're not built or maintained properly, they can leak harmful substances into the soil and groundwater. This can cause serious environmental problems and even contaminate drinking water sources. So by regulating these larger tanks, governments aim to make sure they're installed, operated, and maintained safely to protect both the environment and public health. The next up, sick building syndrome, SBS, is a problem that can happen when people spend a lot of time in certain buildings and they start feeling sick or uncomfortable, but there's no clear cause. Some common symptoms of SBS include headaches, dizziness, nausea, fatigue, and irritation of the eyes, nose, and throat. Basically, if you feel crummy when you're in a particular building but you feel better when you leave, you might be experiencing SBS. Okay, on to the Q&A part of this video. Question number 1. Lead-based paint is a concern prior to what date? The answer, 1978. The next one. What form needs to be signed if a house was built prior to 1978? The answer, a lead-based paint disclosure form. The next question. Of the following, which one would need a professional to have removed? A, fiberglass, or B, asbestos? The answer, asbestos. The next one. Do you need a professional to get rid of radon? The answer is no. You can use a radon mitigation system, which is basically an aeration system. The next one. What is the toxic chemical that's known to drip out of old transformers? The answer, polychlorinated biphenyls. The next one. What has been found in aerosol sprays and refrigerants that has compromised the Earth's ozone layer? The answer, chlorofluorocarbons. The next one. Who is responsible for drinking water safety? The answer, the Department of Health. The next one. Chlorofluorocarbons falls under what act? The answer, the Clean Air Act. And that's it for today, everyone. As a real estate professional, knowing these environmental issues is essential, especially for the real estate exam. Let's work together to create healthier living and working space for everyone. See you in the next video.